Good afternoon to the citizens of St. Bernard Parish. Today is Tuesday, April 28th, and welcome to another update and another day in the St. Bernard Parish COVID-19 saga. As we do every day, we have 3 additional deaths on the list today from the state. We will say a personal prayer for those affected and for those who have lost loved ones and lost their lives. Thank you. I want to start out today by thanking the employees of St. Bernard Parish government on behalf of the citizens of St. Bernard Parish. They are doing an excellent job, and over the last 2 days now, they have come to work. They are following all of the precautions that we have in place. Employees are being very safe. They're wearing their mask around the building. And we are getting the job done for the citizens of St. Bernard Parish. So we were as disappointed as a lot of people in our state that we did not meet the guidelines set by the Trump administration and his task force to enter into phase 1. So it's something that we're disappointed in, but it's not something that's going to knock us down. It's something that we're going to team up a little bit on to make sure that these next 2 weeks that we're all doing the right thing and that we're pulling some of these other communities along with us and getting our numbers to go down, because that's the only way that we're going to become part of the solution rather than the problem. We need to help these other areas, Monroe, Baton Rouge, the Lafayette area, the Lafourche area, St. Tammany. They're having some problems with their numbers right now, and we need to be a team. I say that a lot, but I truly mean it. You know, it's something that we need to stand together, and any problems that we see in a specific executive order by the governor, and I'm going to read it here in a second again, because there was some confusion yesterday. But, you know, the more that we stand together and that we help each other. Right now, just because our region's numbers are falling and declining, and we meeting the criteria set forth by the Trump task force and Vice President Mike Pence, we need to help these other communities. And the way we help them is to be patient and to continue to do the right things and set an example so that they can also get to the point where their numbers are going down. If people around these areas loosen up in a way that increases their numbers, and we know that's going to happen anyway, right? The more contact the public has with each other, the more of this virus is going to spread. They're going to come up a little bit. But if we do it in the right way, it's not going to come up enough to disrupt our healthcare system. But if these communities around these hotspots, if you will, start loosening up and they coming up a little bit, it will create a huge problem in those areas, and that will spread again. Remember, not too long ago, the city of New Orleans was one of 3 hotspots in the United States of America. And what did we do as a region? We hung together. We did the right thing. We did the social distancing. We did the hand washing. We didn't touch our face as often as we did before. But we all pulled in the right direction. We see a lot of cars out. We see a lot of people working. A lot of our grocery stores are open. Some of our retail outlets are open. But we're following. It's not like it was before. We understand that. It's disappointing that we can't grow from that. But if we don't continue to do what we're doing, the whole state will be in the same problem that we were 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we cannot go back there. We cannot go back there for a lot of reasons. And the main reason is for our friends and family who are working at the hospital here in St. Bernard Parish, who may be working at a hospital right now today where they're seeing these numbers. They're seeing the ventilator patients in Lafayette, in Monroe, in Baton Rouge. We know that they're about a week and a half or so behind us. And if they continue to do the right thing, and they see us doing the right thing, it's all going to happen. Everybody needs to be pulling in the same direction. We don't need to have different regions talking about how good we did, why can't we move forward, and the other regions not doing what they were supposed to do. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. And I always use these athletic or sports analogies, but you got 5 linemen who protect your quarterback for the Saints, right? So, he gets sacked, so they come back to the huddle. You don't want the guy on your team that comes back and says, well, I did my job. And he's not worried about the other 4 guys, right? You want the guys to come to the huddle to be together, to pull together, to encourage him to do better the next time. And the guy who missed his block, you want him to say, it's not going to happen again. And you don't want any excuses, right? That's just the way it's got to be for us to be on the same page here and to move forward. So as difficult as it is for us to accept the reality on the ground and what the numbers mean for Louisiana, and we're using the Trump guidelines, by the way. I see some of this talk out here where, parish by parish, we need to open up parish by parish, how Trump wants it done. Well, Trump doesn't agree, if we don't meet those numbers, that we should be going into phase 1, right? So we are following those guidelines here in the state of Louisiana. It's disappointing, but it's not the end of the world for us. We got 2 more weeks, right? And we know a lot of our friends and family that have small businesses, and they want to get back to work. A lot of them can, and we're going to go over that in a little bit. But some can't, and that's disheartening, and something that we're working with the governor to try to correct some of those situations in our localities here that we feel will still allow us to have that team effort, will still allow us to make sure other communities are pulling in the same direction, but that we can have some little leeway here in our parishes. So I wanted to make sure we talked about all of that. I don't want to lose sight of what our daily update and the numbers from the state website and our hospital. From the state website, we are now at 452 in positive cases. And like we said earlier, we are at 18 deaths. Now remember, those numbers change every now and then. That's an additional 3 from yesterday. Our hospital has 22 total patients, 8 COVID patients, and 1 vent patient, which is a non-COVID patient. So we're doing great. We can't go down any farther here in St. Bernard Parish, but we have to be patient to make sure that this peak never happens again in St. Bernard Parish or in the state of Louisiana. I want to read the important parts from the governor's extension to May 15th of his executive order, just so people can hear what's in the order. So let me start with what the governor has in his extended order. May 1st, that's Friday, businesses that were previously directed to be closed will remain closed, including salons, barbershops, bars, and casinos, among other things. Businesses that are deemed essential under the 3rd phase of federal CISA guidance may still be open. Non-essential retail businesses in Louisiana continue to be open with fewer than 10 people total inside of your business. So all of our retail outlets here in St. Bernard Parish, I want to make it clear, as long as you are able to live with the social distancing guidelines, that you allow no more than 10 people total in your business, you're allowed to sell your retail, right? You are always allowed to sell your retail under those conditions. I want to talk about another aspect that I'm getting a few calls from that's not specifically talked about in the governor's executive order. I can only go by some comments that he made with restaurants allowing people to sit outside as long as they have social distancing, right? No more than 10 people in a retail business. If you have an exercise class, If you have a gym that you teach tumbling, if you teach something along those lines, if you have these exercise classes that some of our gyms have, right? I don't see a problem if you show up at the park with, more than 10 people and you are adhering to the social distancing guidelines. If you're in your gym and you're not using any of the equipment in your gym and you have an exercise class with less than 10 total in your building, I believe that that's okay. Do not use the equipment because that's the problem in the gyms. And the most important thing is no more than 10 people in your building at one time. So please call us here at Parish Government if you have questions surrounding that. We have some questions too with Baton Rouge, but we totally believe outside you can have as many people in your class as you want, as long as you are exercising the social distancing guidelines. And that's how we're going to handle it here until somebody tells us something differently. I want to make it perfectly clear. The gyms that we have in our parish are not allowed to open at the earliest. May 15th is what we're thinking at this point, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. For regular workout with equipment in the building. That would be any equipment in the building. It's not allowed under the current extension of the executive order. Here are three things that the extension includes now that it didn't include before. Malls will remain closed to the public, but stores may open for curbside delivery. Restaurants will be allowed to open their outside areas for patrons to eat meals only without tableside service. All employees of a business who have contact with the public must wear a mask, and the citizens are encouraged to wear a mask throughout, when they're outside in the public. So that's something that's going to be noticed by customers. We're going to get calls. All businesses, if their employees have contact with the public, they are required to wear a mask. We want to make that perfectly clear. The citizens, the customers in that business, are strongly urged to wear a mask when they go out in public. Here's where some of the confusion was yesterday when we talked about phase one. Okay? Phase one in Louisiana, on or by, hold on, let me back up. Governor Edwards intends to make his next announcement moving to phase one in Louisiana on or by May 11th. Members of the public can continue to get information from the governor's office on coronavirus.la.gov and by texting LA COVID to 67283. What that is saying is that by May 11th, the governor will have the data in to decide whether or not we're going to go into phase one. So it's not decided yet. On May 11th or so, or before, he will have the data necessary to give him that decision-making power to go into phase one. That is not determined yet. So, what do we do as a citizenry? What do we do in St. Bernard Parish? We get ready to enter into phase one on May 15th because that's what our hope is. That's what we are working toward, and that's what we were working toward on May 1st, and we're disappointed. But May 15th is that next deadline, and May 11th is when he's telling us he's going to let us know. A little peek into what phase one looks like. Phase one lifts the stay-at-home order and eases restrictions on some public places like houses of worship and restaurants, and opens other businesses that have been closed, such as barbershops and salons, but with restrictions on occupancy and strict requirements for personal distancing and masks to keep everyone safe. Phase one occupancy for these businesses will be limited to 25%. So that's straight from the governor's executive order. We are preparing for all of this. We are preparing for the restaurants being able to eat outside. We are in contact with the governor's office right now about one aspect of that, and that's the restaurants. It says restaurants will be allowed to open their outside areas for patrons to eat meals only. So I don't know what that means. I mean, I know what that means. It's eat meals only. Does that mean that they can get a soft drink or a water and bring it outside? Can the restaurant serve an alcoholic beverage? And can they bring it outside? We are trying to make sure that we get that guidance from the governor's office, because that's going to be a biggie. You know, we're hearing a bunch of things that's going to happen here with our restaurants, and we want to make sure that we're following those rules. So when they say meals only, we have to look at what is allowed as far as refreshments with that meal and how does that look like. So with that said, thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for doing all of the right things as a whole here in St. Bernard Parish. We are doing our job. You go back a month, you go back 5 weeks, or however long it's been, we have been doing our job here in St. Bernard Parish. So we have something to be proud of, and we just have until May 15th now to get into that phase 1. And if we can do that and work with the other parts of the state to make sure that they're on board and we're all working together, we are going to be better off, and we're going to be better off later on. We're going to be stronger and better than ever, and it's something that I'm looking forward to. So thank you so much, and God bless each and every one of you.